So why don't you just sit back and relax? No, I don't understand. The word seek really came to my mind because it was a quench for something that's not there. So I made this for me and for people like me. So I love that Vex was Seek's first of it was kind of like a marketplace. Let's end the podcast with our fun game. Let's make it rapid and full of fire. What's your toxic morning routine? This. So, first thing you would do if someone invested 1 crore in your brand today? I would say I love you to the person. So, Shraddha, do you remember how we met? It just feels like yesterday Aman introduced us, like I think a few years back. And look at where we are now. I know, it's insane. We're starting a podcast, and I think we had an instant connection. Having beauty as a common factor, we actually ended up making our own podcast, which is really interesting. I know, and we have so many commonalities. Both are 97 born kids. Both are beauty founders. And I think we collaborated on a very great podcast, which I'm very excited to start. How do you feel about the podcast? It's just doing it, going with the flow. I think, I think it just takes one decision from imagining it to doing it, and we are here. So I think it's something really exciting and new to my life. Like I've always imagined to do a podcast, but never gotten a chance and the right person to do it with. Yeah, me neither. And I think I wouldn't do it with anyone but you. So, Rebecca, why don't you introduce yourself? Hi, this is Bex, founder of Bex Beauty and Bex Beauty Bar, bringing you behind the glam tea beauty secrets in a cute outfit. And hi, I'm Shraddha, designer by heart, and I am the founder of Seek Skincare, where I co-head the relationship between skincare and self-care. So I'm seeking you. And this is Seek Back and Relax, your dose of real conversations, beauty secrets, and behind the glam tea. So now, why don't you sit back and relax? Now, time for real talk, Shraddha. I've known you a while, but I really want to know, how did the name Seek come about, and how did you come about the skincare brand, despite not being from the beauty background? I was always seeking something that was not there. I wanted to bridge the gap between affordable and luxury. And I wanted to create something that's for all and also has a meaning in a community based platform rather than just selling skincare. I think I wanted to reach out to the people by saying that self care and skincare are coherently related to each other. So that's how I think the word seek really came to my mind because it was a quench for something that's not there. And not coming from beauty background, I was a communication student in a fashion college, and I was always passionate about beauty and fashion. So everybody around me was doing something in the beauty, in the fashion industry. And I realized that was such a crowded space. So I think skincare was much more intimate and personal to what I felt, that I could create and communicate to the community. So yeah, I think that's how I came up with skincare, not having a skincare background. I did my research during the COVID and reached out to the right manufacturers to make something that's right for the skin. That's amazing, and that's so powerful because I know how difficult it is to find the right people to work with, the right manufacturers. I also want to know, because Clean Beauty, your brand is Clean Beauty. Clean Beauty is not cheap at all. So how did you go about the funding? And what was that journey? I think for me, when I researched about how to go about starting a beauty brand, it was just like I didn't know anything about it, right? So I did like multiple videos that I watched on YouTube, multiple research of calling manufacturers, visiting different factories, and then realizing that, my product quality has to be top notch. So I reached out to the right manufacturer after maybe listing down 50 to 100 people that I connected with. Wow. So I think that was a good long process that I did my research on. And once I think where I reached the right manufacturer, I knew that it was not a fund that I think I was blessed with a background in my family, where they helped me um, fund this business because they trusted my work. So I think it hadn't been the work, it hadn't been through like live without my father being trust a person who trusts me with the work and the business. So I think that has been my biggest space of funding. But right now I'm looking at raising capital and making it bigger than where I have always been. Yeah. I love that answer. I think parents can be such a boon in your life if, I think they are the best. And I love that answer, to be honest, because I know funding can be so difficult. It has, well, for sure. I think now if I had, known the business better, I think I would have made changes in my funding process. I would not be shy to ask away from people. Absolutely. And like have investors funded already before starting the business. But I feel I think my family support was like really great for me. That's amazing. I love that for you. Actually, my question is kind of similar to what you just said. Yeah. I want to know, what would you have done differently had you started your brand now, like in 2025? Uh, I think not romanticize it so much and systemize it. Wow. That is my I love that. Because I have really beautified my brand in my world because that's my baby, and I love the fact that I've grown Seek and I've made products. I've reached out to more than 1,010,000 customers to give myself and give a presentation. But I feel like systemizing it much more in terms of my finances, my new product launches, my community building, or my marketing strategies. I feel that would be the most different style, or if I had, taken more time till this year. Well, honestly, I personally have used Seek in the past, and I love how you stand for. So I'll tell you what. When I came back to India, I was looking for brands to recommend to my clients, really, that were clean beauty, clean skincare brands, because there were so many that I would personally use because I don't use any denatured alcohol or fragrance on my skin myself. I couldn't find a single brand in India. So when I found out about you and your brand, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I should have this in my salon. So do you remember our first meet, like our first action meet? It feels like yesterday. Because honestly, you saying that, I really appreciate you, because when I gave a PID, which is a product information description, to my manufacturers, I told them the fragrance is a must, not for the skincare, because people like really like a spa like smell on the skincare, but we don't really need it. We don't need fragrance on the skincare, which is why I wanted to keep my skincare as clean as possible. And when I say that, I think I was also very conscious to the environment, not just the skin, like making the products very package environment friendly, the packaging to be 100%. Said that you don't have any plastic in your product. It does not have any plastic. It's 100%, it's made out of 100% recyclable paper. So I feel I think, yes, reaching out to the market with a clean beauty did not just mean clean in the terms of using it as a copywriting that people and brands are using nowadays. I wanted to be clean in terms of not adding sulfates, not adding parabens, and no color, no fragrance. So I think that was my must in a skincare for all. And meeting you for listing my products in your salon, it feels like yesterday, because I really remember how you and I connected on the fact that you are also a conscious skincare buyer, and you would love to promote this in your brand. And it was one of my first salons that I've ever listed my product and made my online business offline. So I can never ever, the first times are always the most rememberable and memorable ones. Yeah. So I love that Vex was Seek's first offline. It was kind of like a marketplace. It was my offline space, first space where I actually sold offline. Yeah. No, I love that. Also, your packaging, I have to talk about your packaging a little bit. So, you know what? The color is something that I absolutely love. So, this is one of my favorite colors. And not just that, I love, so, there are times when I'm feeling anxious. I, in fact, scroll down Seek's page. And I mean it. I'm not just saying it for the sake of the podcast. I mean it. And I show it to my team as well because I love your aesthetics. I love how clean, minimalistic, and simplistic it is. I really appreciate what you're saying. I just really like using Seek because I've never had no, and I'm someone with really sensitive skin. Right. Yeah. So I have never had no, and none of our clients either. So at the salon, the clients who come and were uh, bought products from Seek, they have repurchased it more than anything because they haven't had any like a reaction to the product. I think yes, it's made, as I said, the skincare is made for all, be it a sensitive skin type or a dry or a combination skin type. I wanted to make something that mirrors and tells people that you have to do skincare despite what your skin type or what you are. And about the packaging, as you know, I'm a designer. Yeah. Also, as a graphic designer, I knew there's a very intentional packaging, mindset that I had. The brown color also relates to the roots of India. How roots of a tree is brown.
Oh wow, I love that.
So
I
so
didn't think of it like that.
so I think it was very intentional with the packaging when it came to the color brown, because it's for all genders and all skin types, and Indian skin type is known to be brown. So I think that really made me, and again, brown is a neutral color, and I have a little knack for the color brown.
Yeah, I can see that.
For the coffee that I drink, I think that's where I fell in love with brown. So yes, the packaging really stands out with my identity of liking something that's for all and making something that's for all, and that's again a neutral color palette. Again, promoting luxury but at an affordable price.
I love that.
That's amazing. Okay, now enough of me. And I really want to know your journey. Like, I know you're a top makeup artist in Calcutta and outside. I want to know, how did that turn into owning a salon and starting your nails brand? Yeah.
Okay, this will be a long one. Are you ready?
I would love to. And since you're not gatekeeping any journey insights, I think we would love to hear your journey. Yeah.
So I started when I was 18. I remember right after my school, I was actually supposed to travel. Makeup was never, or beauty was never a big part of my life. I've always been inclined to beauty and fashion as an individual, but I never thought of making it a career path. So after I graduated from my high school, I was supposed to, in fact, travel to US to study forensic psychology. So that's something that really excited me. And it still does actually, but I don't know, the makeup just happened. I remember I was in Bombay and I found out about this makeup artist. He's a German makeup artist, and he was doing his makeup course for the very first time. I'm like, you know what? Let me just enroll myself. Yeah, because anyway, I have to wait a couple of months before I can apply to this university. Let me just try it out. Why not? And that's how it began. And it turned out I was good. And I started doing makeup when I was just 18.
They were too early for makeup.
Yeah, for the longest, I did makeup, I think up until 2020. I was a freelance makeup artist. I had done a couple of courses here and there. Right after I came back from London, which was also again for a diploma in makeup artistry and prosthetics and SFX. So as I came back, I'm like, you know what, there has got to be more. And COVID hit. COVID was the time when I really did the research, and I was like, you know what? When I was in London, Shraddha, I'll tell you what, most people had turned their extra space into B&B or a garage or a makeup studio. So I had this space, like a lot of space, which used to be my gym and office space before. And I'm like, you know what? Since I don't have as much investment to start with, why don't I start refurbish it and return this space into a salon? And that's what I did.
I think that's the best.
Yeah. Because for me, I didn't. So, my biggest complaint from going to a salon was, if I'm going to be spending 5 to 10 grand, I want my relaxation, I want my private space, and I didn't see that anywhere. So I wanted to come up with a luxury style boutique salon. Hence, I segregated the sections. So, if you are there to get your head massage, you don't have to worry about the other client or hearing a hair dry in the
I've experienced that.
Yeah.
I have come here for a lot of services.
Yeah. So that was the whole point. I wanted that. And you know what? Because we are a beauty bar. We are not just a typical salon. Because we're a beauty bar, we have head to toe everything, and we also have nails, right? So with the nails, I love experimenting with the nails. I want to do designs which would typically take 4 to 5 hours. So to be honest, with my brand like Vexfury Nail, it came in the picture because of convenience. I made this for me and for people like me who are always on the go, who want to change their look as often as they can, and for people like who are maybe new mothers, office goers.
I think this is the hustle culture is so on right now. I think with people who are into fashion and they love to explore beauty and the way they, present themselves. And this is a very good expression.
Yeah,
I love it.
so I'm like, you know what, why not? Let's make a product which is ready to do. All you have to do is just stick them on. The artwork is done for you. And because they're handmade, they can be reused. So you're saving a lot of time and energy, and economically, it just makes sense. course. So I wanted to create a product like that, and hopefully many more products in the future.
I think it's a fab product because I'm always running late. People always have a complaint with me running late, but I think time's a bitch to me. I do plan it correct, but then there have been so many days I've been using these, nails in my car because that's the best way to
Yeah.
be on the go and still go.
Yeah.
Like you are
I love
groomed.
that.
Yeah, I think.
That was why I came up with this idea, and I saw a big gap in the market for press-on nails. Not a lot of people.
I don't
doing
think
it.
I know a lot of brands.
Yeah. And the brands that are, those nails are digitally made. I wanted to make something that's handmade.
But that's so because that's really unknown to the consumers because a lot of people think that okay, this is made, this is made. Nobody knows what the process of making is. So I think you can actually highlight how this is handmade, in your business.
Absolutely. So you know what? When I started, like I said, of course, I had a lot of help from. So for people who don't know, my mother is my partner in the salon. So she has helped me a lot. So I think, like you mentioned, like your father and your parents, for me, it's been my mom. She's been so, so, so helpful throughout this entire journey. And I wanted to use the same space we had to. I know I can't make makeup products. That's something I want to, dive into soon. But I can't make makeup products myself. So you need a proper lab to be able to do that, right? There's a lot that goes in. I wanted to start something that doesn't require a lot of money. And I have the source somehow. Because we do nails already in our salon, right?
Yeah.
We do extensions. We do everything to do with nails. So I already had the raw material.
I'm a nail girly, so I
know.
I do. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's another thing I think we bonded over, the fact that you love
Yes, never. My naked nails are like very rare. I think I love to get my nails. And I think Bex has also given me a space to get your nails only when you want to. Like, the 3 hour party where I want my nails to be pretty, but like,
Yeah, no, I love that. So, I had this space where I had a couple of nail artists. I had the product, the raw product to make it. Then I got in touch with the manufacturer who could send me the raw material in terms of like, so we paint on the nail, right? So the raw material comes from the factory. We paint on the nail, we do the designs, and everything else is handmade. But the raw material, of course, comes from a factory. So I'm like, you know what? I have the space, so why not? Let's just try. Let's see how it goes. I remember the first month, I had just printed 300 boxes. I didn't have the budget to print a very large MOQ. And I wanted to start slow and see if there is a market for this in India. I know people abroad, they love persons, right? So I wanted to see if there's a market for this in India. So
that's always good to have the test and trial done before you
absolutely. Yeah. So I started with just 300 boxes. And I kid you not, I mean, I've been so lucky. The first month itself, we sold all 300 boxes.
Wow.
And there was a time when we were running out of nails and I had to like call a manufacturer. By the way, the box is completely designed by me.
This is why the brand was so personal to us because we both have like really given our heart and soul to creating something that's of ours.
Absolutely. So when I was looking for people who could make a box like this, again, I didn't want any plastic. Yeah, I wanted it to be like paper. So when I was looking for people to do this for me, they didn't really understand what's press-on, what's nail, and how do we go back. I literally hand drew this packaging. And I hand drew each and every single element of it. Then I somehow managed to find a 3D designer who could make that for him to like,
Yeah.
So everything is really personal, and I love, and I know that that's the same for you. And
No, I love the packaging. I love the packaging that's there. With what you have made out of like, nowhere and again getting that first month's order. I think it's really, really inspiring to anybody, who wants to start something. They can just, hear this and they can understand how it just takes that one decision, to change your vision to reality. And I think it's a fab work with your branding and your nails that you're doing.
thank you.
And the fact that, yes, we both are really personal with our brands, I think that's something we really connect over as well. Because for us, it's not just a brand that's handled by a team. It's not something that's just made and it's going to go automated. I think it's something that we are really related to and we are really personally connected to. So,
Absolutely. Yeah.
but your journey, and now you are someone who has your own salon and your nails brand and an expertise in makeup. I think I'm always, I'm always fascinated when I look at you and the aura that you bring into the room with your beauty. Yeah. So what is a hack of, being in the beauty industry? Don't you think, like, is it like like you always have to represent that segment with how you present yourself and how you look like?
You know what? That's a great question. I'll tell you why. Because most people, when they hear that you're a makeup artist, they automatically assume that you would have a full glam on at all times, like big lashes, big liner, lots of makeup.
Stereotyping with
Yeah,
the makeup
but
artist.
for me, I'm not that kind of. So there are days, right? So some days I want to go full glam, and some days I just want to keep it subtle. I feel for me, as long as you are representing yourself and your brand in a representable manner,
Yeah.
that's good enough. You don't have to wear a full face of makeup every day just because you are from the beauty industry.
Exactly.
That's what I think.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it was about the time and energies.
I don't like it. I think it's about, yeah. I don't think you have to. I think it's about your mood and you should always be authentic. I think authenticity is so sexy.
Mhm.
Like, being, even in your sweatpants, you can rock it because,
That's what we're doing right now. We're literally
know.
in our sweatpants with 3 to 4 cameras in front of us, multiple lights.
But I think it's about, just feeling yourself
Yeah,
and being comfortable.
absolutely. Okay, Strana. So since we're not gatekeeping, I want to know what is that one thing people assume we need to know before starting a skincare brand?
I think it's really funny that people think that I should be from a chemistry background to know how to make skincare and sell it. But I have a very good R&D team doing that work. If I get into everything, I don't think I would be here selling and making the products that I want.
Absolutely.
So I always knew what I wanted to make, but it's a product information description, and that's why you have a team, right? People who are in the industry of making different skincare and making different products, I think they take over the department of making it for you,
Yeah.
and you actually ideate and give them the brain. It's your brainchild, but like then the product is made by the right team. So I think you don't need to know how to make it, you just need to know what you want.
Yes.
So yeah.
No, I agree. I mean, that's an excellent answer.
For you, I want to know, like, what would you do differently? Because that's something that you've done. Whatever you've done till now is something that is already there. But what would you do differently if you started something this year, 2025?
So many things. I think with each year that passes by, we grow, we learn so many things. Honestly, I wouldn't focus as much on aesthetics. Having said that, I don't mean I would make an ugly product or an ugly packaging. Aesthetics is a big part of who I am and what I do. What I mean by that is I would also keep the finances in mind because, like I said, I ended up, investing and spending a lot of money in the start because I was so focused on the aesthetics and I didn't really think about the other aspects of the beauty business and how you need to divide your finances.
I'm sure. I was on the same.
Yeah, so that's something I would definitely have done differently. Hire the right team. I think you should really know where to save your money. Sometimes if you underpay, they will underdeliver.
Of course, they will.
So
Yeah.
you really need to know who and when to hire, and you're hiring the right team. I think for me has been the biggest challenge and something that's taught me a lot along the way.
Yeah, I think your team really holds the maximum value for your business.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
don't ever compromise on like having
Yeah.
the wrong people, because they are your avengers for your business. So I feel
I feel so blessed with the people that I have same team at the moment.
same.
And I think, yeah, probably focusing more on the financial aspect and hiring the right people for the job.
So when we talk about finance, I think we can discuss. This is something that we have spoken about previously. But what's the most gate-kept beauty business expense? That's something that people don't really realize, but like through the business, they know that this is the most gate-kept, biggest expensive business, which we know of it. And this is for all the aspiring, beauty founders, because that's a journey.
And I think you will agree to this as well. Marketing.
No matter.
Because I don't come from that background, I had no idea how much money you have to invest in marketing, on social media, on running ads. It's just insane. And that's an expense I had never counted for.
And that's
So,
exactly, and that's an expense that I did not even add on to my making of the products or to by reaching the right market. So I think that's a very strong space which people should never not consider, because marketing again is an umbrella term, right?
Yeah.
There is meta ads, there's influencers, there is your shoots, there is a
So
campaign,
much.
there is everything,
Online, offline, there's
and it's never enough.
about
And it's never enough. So
Yeah.
you get lucky. You also do the best by your hard work. But I think marketing is an expense everybody should keep in mind.
Yeah. Definitely do consider the marketing expense before. Of course, make an amazing product. Because if your product's not good,
And you just marketing
like how much you market it, it's
But
not
then,
good
but
to sell.
then, but then, I feel still that will hit the market, because then you're marketing it so well that people
Yeah.
tend to fall. I have a few brands
Yeah.
that I bought because of the marketing, but I'm not really happy with
Liking them. Yeah.
I don't want to name it right now.
Yeah, of course.
I gatekeep that.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. I mean, I had never fathomed the amount that I have ended up spending. See, that I would, not just on one platform, but even for you, like marketplaces. You're on several marketplaces.
I like exactly. And the money that they suck out of you, it's just not funny.
Yeah.
But okay, we learn.
Yeah.
We learn. Okay, but yeah, now enough of having these conversations about finance and chaos. Let's end the podcast with our fun game that we call.
Glow and go. Okay, let's make it rapid and full of fire.
Done. I think I need to brace up and be on my toes too. Perfect.
Yeah, we have the question.
I have the questions.
Amazing.
So press on nails or fresh gel?
Press on nails for life. Okay, Shraddha. Most chaotic beauty trend you secretly love?
It's a glitter under the eyes. I think my whole face like drenches with the glitter. But I think it's a chaotic beauty trend that just makes me feel like myself.
Love that.
What's your toxic morning routine?
This. Scrolling on my phone early in the morning, every morning, despite of how bad I try. This is the most toxic morning.
Who am I to say?
So, one skincare step you always skip, but pretend you don't.
Okay, so I think it's my moisturizer in the morning before sunscreen. I think because my sunscreen is so hydrating, I keep promoting CMS, but I think it's cleanser than just sunscreen for me, because I think moisturizer sometimes I skip, but I pretend that.
Okay.
For you, it will be, if you could open Bex Beauty anywhere in the world, where would that be?
Can anyone guess the answer?
Dubai?
Of course. So for people, like, I think most of you all know my love for Dubai. But that's not just because I love the city. I think Dubai has so much potential. It's the new LA. It's the new global hub. That's where everyone wants to be. And I think Dubai is the best place for beauty industry right now.
It is. That's the last show.
And I'm biased too, so wink wink.
That's a win. I think there's another Bex Beauty opening in Dubai soon.
Let's see. Maybe someday.
We manifest it. And maybe 5 years later, we're going to listen to this.
I love it. Okay. So, first thing you would do if someone invested 1 crore in your brand today.
I would say, I love you. To the person. Okay. I think I would, to be right about it, I think I would increase awareness of my brand by reaching a very big macro influencer. Like the one that people like really follow and reach out to. I will invest a lot in a bigger team and office space so that I have more people to do more work. And like, I think I'll just expand. I feel I'll also have like an offline space that gives self-care and beauty skincare services together, like a cafe or I think there's so much. Yeah. Okay, for you, facial or foot massage, what would you choose?
Okay. Facial. Oh wow, this is so difficult.
Facial or foot massage?
Wow. Okay, a foot massage. You know why? Because I can give a facial to myself. I can't give myself a foot massage. So facial, because I'm trained to do that. So I can give myself a facial. So I would pick a foot massage for life. The last DM that made you blush or scream. I hope you tell me a cringy one.
Okay, I'm not going to tell you the one. I'm not going to tell you. Okay, I'm called Lemon, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of people send me a lot of lemon related clips. I'm not gonna say that online.
No, I think I know who it's but please tell them.
But okay, another one, because I have a way of clicking pictures. I think last DM that made me feel like blushing was when someone commented on how I can make Nico Park look like, Disney World. Because of the way
You do that?
because of the way I was clicking and being there. They're like, you can make anything visually pretty, aesthetic. Aesthetic, that's what they call it.
Oh my god.
But yeah, the lemon one, I'm not gonna say it right. One thing people misunderstood about you.
I think a lot of people find me intimidating and they think I'm rude for some reason. I don't know, I'm single root born in my body, but
It's the last thing I could relate to very
I
close to
think
you.
it's just something they assume because maybe I have a resting bitch face.
And that's so good. And that works.
See, that's the secret for no wrinkles because I'm a resting bitch face, guys.
Please teach me some. Like, my sister has it, you have it. Like, I really need to learn that because I also want to intimidate people, but I don't end up doing so.
Oh god. So what's your 2025 motto in 3 words?
Love, work, and calm. I think I think
that.
Yeah, I think these are the 3 words that really keeps me grounded and gets me going. So love, work, and calm. I think that
I love that. That's amazing.
So this was a really fun rapid fire round, Rebecca. I think we pulled off a great episode.
I think so too. Guys, please let us know your thoughts. It's our very first time. So please let us know in the comments what you think. But be kind. And until then, sit back and relax.
So why don't you just sit back and relax?
No, I can't really get